Okie dokie, hokey pokies. So let me adjust this guy. It's going to go that way. All right, so here is our title. So make sure you have today's date, 5/10/21. 3.3, subtract integers. There it goes. All right. Alarm army. All right, and then we're going to look at our rules for subtracting, and they will go as such. So we have if we are subtracting a positive and a positive, we should get a positive. If we're subtracting a negative and a negative, we should get a negative, and our little rule would be to add and keep the sign. And then if we have a combination of either negative and a positive or a positive and a negative, your answer could be a positive or a negative, and that's when you would subtract and keep the sign of the bigger number. Those are prettier. Look at those.
Mark's done.
Thank you.
And Matthew.
Awesome. All right. So there's our rules. Let's try to keep those up there a little bit. Okay. So let's look at this guy. He's got his own little rule. So let's write down 10 minus negative 7. And then on the side there, I have a little rule. Two negatives next to each other will become a positive. So write both those down, and then we'll see what we get here. Okay. Am I recording? Yes, I am. Thank goodness. Okay, so if we have 10 minus negative 7, we have these two negative signs that are right next to each other. And like our little note in the blue says, we're going to change that into a positive. Okay? Then all we have to do is bring down our numbers. Oops, I put a 17. Who won a 7? There you go. And so 10 plus 7 is 17. So that's all we do in that case. So two negatives next to each other will become a positive, and then we just go ahead and add it up. Get rid of that because that bugs me. Sorry. Even though I hate this whiteout. Okay, that's better. Okay, does that make sense? Any questions? Okay, no one's saying anything, so let's look at negative 1 minus 8. Write that down. Negative 1 minus 8. I always leave myself too much room. Oh well. Oh well. All right, so we're going to use our rules. I'm going to push it up as much as I can. We have two negative numbers, right? You writing it down? So negative 1 minus 8. We have two negative numbers. So our rules say if we have two negative numbers, we're going to add and keep the sign. So 1 plus 8 is 9, right? We're going to keep our negative sign. So it would just be a negative 9. Does that make sense? A negative 7 minus a negative 2. So write that guy down. Negative 7 minus a negative 2. Make sure you have those parentheses. It just makes it look a little neater. Doesn't really change anything, but... So first off, before we do anything, we should be able to see that we have two negative numbers next to each other. So our rule over here in the blue tells us to make that a positive, right? So we're going to make that a positive. I'm going to bring down my negative 7, and now it's just a positive 2, right? So we have negative 7 plus 2. This is where we can use this rule here in the green because we have a negative and a positive, right? So we're going to subtract the two numbers. We would get a 5, and we're going to keep the sign of the bigger number, which is 7, so it's going to be a negative 5. So negative 7 plus 2 is negative 5. And if this helps you look at this anyway, so let's say I have negative $7, right? I owe someone, or someone owes me $7. Well, now they're giving me 2 more. They're giving me 2 of that. So they still owe me money, which is where my negative comes from, but now they only owe me $5 because they gave me 2 of it. Sometimes that makes more sense to people, sometimes it doesn't, so I thought I'd throw that out there. So we're evaluating the expression, which means we're going to be given our expression, which is this. So our expression is the x minus 5. Then it's going to give us 2 separate numbers for x. So we'll have 2 separate answers. So instead of x minus 5, if we're going to put in a 3 for x, we're going to get 3 minus 5. Okay? So that's the first one. So let's just solve that. So it's 3 minus 5, you guys. If you don't know, you're just going to subtract and keep the sign of the bigger number there. So what would it be? What's 5 minus 3? 2. And it's going to be a negative 2. So our bigger number is negative. Okay, so for the next one, for this negative 3 over here, we're going to plug it in. So it's going to be negative 3 minus 5. Okay, so we had this written on our other page. Same sign. We're just going to add and keep the negative sign. So we know it's going to be negative, so what's 5 plus 3? 8. Good. Does that make sense, guys? Any questions on how we got those? Yes and no in the chat, please. Examples. Not too awful. All right, let's look at this one. Okay, write this down. Translate and simplify. The difference of 5 and negative 13. Let's look at this one. Okay, we're going to translate and simplify. So remember, we're translating. We're just taking the words to make them into an expression. So the difference of would be subtract, right? And it wants the difference of 5 and negative 13. Okay, so it would be written like that. That would be your first answer. Remember, you're going to have 2 boxes for these ones. It's going to be your first answer, 5 minus negative 13. Okay, now you can see we have 2 negatives next to each other. So those are going to become a positive. And we're going to be left with 5 and 13. So what's our answer? This one's easy, right? 5 plus 13.
18.
Thank you. All right. Any questions on that one, guys? Yes or no?
No, I got it.
You got it. Sunny's good. Okay. Okay, let's look at this one. We have a little note on the side on this one. We have subtract negative 12 from negative 40. When you see the word subtract, subtracted from, and less than, that means that we're going to take this second number and we're going to write it first. So we're just going to do that right now. Go ahead and write all that down. I'm going to write it first, and then we'll solve it. Tell me when you have all that written down, please. All right. All right, let's look at it. So we already wrote our second number first, right? I already did that. Get that out of the way. And then we know subtract means to subtract, obviously. So there's that. And then we need to add in that negative 12. Okay. There we go. So that's what our first answer would look like in our first box. Negative 40 minus a negative 12. Okay, so these two, we know that's always something we want to identify first. We have two negative numbers next to each other, so they're going to be a positive. We're going to bring down that negative 40, and now we're just going to bring down the 12. Okay? So now we have our different sign rule. So we can just subtract and keep the sign of the bigger number. So that's going to be what? Someone tell me. Be quiet.
52.
We're going to subtract and keep the sign of the bigger number. Yes, because we have two different signs. So remember, someone owes me $40, and now they gave me 12, right? So it's still going to be a negative, but it's going to be a smaller negative number. So what is it, guys? 38?
38.
I got a 28 when I did that.
How?
Because I had to borrow. I had to do 40 minus 12. No? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Well, boy, you really messed up.
Shush. Be quiet, Miss Susie. I know. I noticed it too. Okay, so we have a 28. And we're keeping the sign of the bigger number, and that's a negative, right? So there you go. So someone owed me 40. They paid me back 12. They still owe me 28, so it's still a negative. Make sense? Good? I think we have one more, maybe two examples. That's it. Can I switch it? Anyone need me to wait? Let's just say that. Anyone need me to wait? Okay.
Put it this way, guys. Teachers are human too.
Oh, yeah, you should. First period, you guys, you would have been like, what are you doing, Miss Dodson? Yeah, it was insane. All right. Yeah, it was not pretty. So, just let's say it was so bad I have to redo notes with them, okay? They're probably looking at their assignment going, what? Yep. All right, so our little blue note that we had on the previous page said that when we see the words less than, we're going to write our second number first. So I'm going to write that down. Okay? So copy all that down. I'll give you a few seconds here. I know you guys are pretty quick. Okay. So we have negative 20 in the front, and that's going to be less than 7. So it would look like that. That's your first answer. I believe you're going to have to put that in. Now, we have two the same sign. So if we look back to our first page, we're just going to add those and keep the negative sign. So it should be a negative 27, right? Okay, that one's easy peasy. I like that one. Okay, one more example. I'll leave that one up top. Okay, write this one down. Last one. Simplify the expressions. It's giving us two different expressions, so we will have two separate answers when it comes to that problem. So our first one is 10 minus a negative 14, and our second one is a negative 10 minus a 14. Once you write it down, let me know what you think A and B is going to be. So this is A, this is B. So Chase, where are you working at?
Outpost, right by the pilot.
Oh, really? Okay, cool.
Busted.
Oh, I'm going to have to come in there and mess with you. All right, guys, once you think you know what A or B might be, put it in the chat. Let's look at them. So let's see. Chase is right about number A, or letter A. We have our two negative signs next to each other, so that's simply going to become a positive. We bring down our other numbers, add it up, and we get 24. So that is right. Mark's saying negative 24 for B. Let's look at that. We have the same sign. So yeah, we're going to add. We get 24, and then we're going to keep our negative sign. So yes, good job, guys. Okay. Move on. I'll reduce this thing for you.